The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Motul, official lubricant of the Pirelli World Challenge. And by Porsche. There is no substitute.
2 races remain in the 2017 Pirelli World Challenge GT Championship, and they will unfold at the venue where the first ever World Challenge race unfolded in 1990 here at Sonoma Raceway. It's time for the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Sonoma and round 8 of the championship. Hi, everybody. Greg Creamer along with Calvin Fish. Jeff Lepper is down in the midst of this amazing field of supercars. Jeff, you're one lucky man. What a place to be.
This is a great place to be, Greg, right here with our 2016 champion, Alvaro Parent, in this beautiful McLaren. He's going to be battling right in front of him with Pat Long in the Wright Motorsports Porsche 911. It's going to come down, I think, to these 2 guys in the Sprint Championship. Will it be Pat Long or Alvaro Parent? For the race win here, though, you can't count out that TR3 Racing Ferrari of Daniel Mancinelli. And the guy that has the outside chance at this championship, starting on the outside of the front row, Michael Cooper in the Cadillac ATS VR. He's doing everything he can to try to clinch this championship. Engines are started, guys. We're ready to go racing.
This is going to be amazing. 50 minutes of sprint competition. There is the Cadillac ATS-V, the official safety vehicle of the Pirelli World Challenge, all part of the great partnership with the fine folks at Cadillac. And I have to say, Jeff, you talk about Michael Cooper on the outside as we see the Cadillac Escalade, which is also the official medical vehicle. Again, Cadillac is such a great partner for so many years in this championship. Cooper in the Cadillac on the outside, yeah, he's got a shot. Daniel Mancinelli came in 52 points down. There's 52 points to be won. The only way he can do it is both poles, 2 wins, which ties him with Long for the wins, assuming Parent has issues. You never give up, though, do you?
So you're saying there's a chance. It's an outside one. In racing, anything can happen. He has the speed to sweep. It's all about what happens to those 2 leaders in the championship right now.
Absolutely. Now let's take a look at our Pirelli keys to the race and hear the importance in this first race of a doubleheader, especially this weekend, Cal. Survive lap 1.
Well, I spoke to Pat Long before even a practice session occurred here this weekend. He said, I have to qualify up front. I don't want to be in the middle of the pack. That is exactly where he's qualified. He's got his main competitor right behind him, Alvaro Parent, so this first lap is critical. Then get to 50%. To score points in these races, you got to do 50% of the time, so you got to get to that 25-minute mark. Otherwise, you get the big goose egg.
And know who you're battling. Obviously, there are certain people that these guys need to finish in front of. Others, they don't need to worry about. Let them go. There's a lot to race for. There's a lot of strategy yet to play, and it's about to start here in Sonoma. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, as the field working through its pace and parade lap here down into turn 7, heading into the legendary S's at this venue here. We want to show you a look at our quad box featuring our remarkable Replay XD cameras. They are some good looking machines, and there's a driver who's got a lot of work to do. Fast early in the weekend, double winner here last year, huge wreck in second practice.
Big one coming out of the carousel yesterday, major damage to that Velocity red Cadillac. It would see no further action this weekend. Team had to go to work, grab the show car, which was here on the premises. Fortunately, built it up. Johnny did some hardship laps this morning, qualified just outside the top 10, so I think a potential race winner, that chance may have gone away because Johnny Red had a lot of speed this weekend, but he's starting way at the back now.
And you're seeing some of the others, both of the championship contenders. We had Parent, we had Long. Here's a look. Michael Cooper, of course, is the Sprint X champion this year along with Jordan Taylor. But a look at Pierre Copper. Never been to this track before. First practice, especially that tricky new quick 9A, 9B that changes the S's, the exit of the S's here. Struggled with it. Then it started to click, and when it clicked, he was quick, jumped up. Now, here's our Porsche race analysis. Again, track 2.3 miles, 12 turns, absolutely technical, challenging roller coaster ride. Absolutely glorious day here. And Mancinelli on the pole with a brand new track record. You talked about it. He has speed. They are in the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone, and accelerate we do. Mancinelli rolling into it here. We are green, but look at Cooper. Boy, did he time that beautifully, Cal.
He really did, but look at Caff for Pat. And a great start, but Caff is going to push him hard here. Up into turn 2, look at that. Oh, that's Alec Udell's gone spearing off the racetrack. Had qualified really nicely inside the top 10. Perrin is on the move. He's got around Caffer. Poor first couple of corners for Pierre Caffer in that Audi.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to take a run at Long, got up into that turn 3 area and realized if he stuck his nose in and Long hit him, that had huge championship implications. He checked up a little bit.
He did, but look at the top two in the championship. They're line astern. They started that way on the grid. They've made a little bit of hay here in the early going. Good, clean first lap here so far for Pat Long, but he looks in those mirrors. Alvaro Perrin is menacing. He realizes he's got to make something happen and happen early. He's got to get by Pat Long to even stand a chance at this overall championship.
Well, the interesting thing, you look right behind this car of Alvaro Perrin. You've got the 99 of John Fogarty in the Red Dragon Porsche. Behind him, after a great start, the 16 of Mike Shine, Long's teammate in a Porsche. Overall points are what determine manufacturer championships. He's got some serious pressure from behind on a lot of levels.
He really does, and you have to wonder whether John Fogarty and the Red Dragon, oh, look at this, Brian Sellers' season continues to unfold here. Look at that. Looks like he's cut down a right front tire, maybe a little bit of argy-bargy, but look at this, Brent is hounding Pat Long.
Right up on him as we complete lap 1. Look at Long even being a little defensive. So close, Perrin.
Oh, he knows love tap there. He's making it known he wants this championship. He's not going to let it go easy. The defending champion, Alvaro Perrin, is hunting down Pat Long.
And as you said, Long 28 points up in the overall combined championship, but only 5 up in the sprint championship. We saw Udell off to the side of the track. Park, he may be done, Cal.
Yeah, and you'd have to wonder if, unless he can get some life in that car, I can't believe they're going to leave it sit there for 50 minutes, so we may see a caution and a reset here. Alvaro Perrin is really putting the pressure on getting back to that Porsche battle. I wonder if Fogarty and the Red Dragon said, you know what, Pat Long, this is your big day. We're not going to stand in your way. They start alongside each other on the grid.
I think that might be exactly it, because of course we've still got a hugely important manufacturer championship that's on the line. Porsche has a decent lead in it, but they're going to do anything they can to try and bring that one home. Meanwhile, up front, Michael Cooper, once he got around Mancinelli, he's opened the margin up. But Cooper said, you know, it's great to win that Sprint X championship. He said, but we don't have a win in sprint this year. As a rookie, I had a few. I got to get a couple.
On the move here.
Yeah.
Down to the inside of Peter. Oh, there's damage. It's unfolded that left front fender on that Cadillac. Not sure if that was the brush there with the Acura that created that, or an incident earlier in the lap. But Johnny O has damage to that left front corner. That could cut the tire down. See it smoking there under braking.
Yeah. Let's get down quickly to pit lane, and Jeff.
Yeah, definite damage to Brian Sellers' K-Pax McLaren here. The wheel is actually broke, so of course the Pirelli P0 tire went down. They're going to put a brand new wheel on it. Did not have the tire here. Not really good. The crew usually is on top of that. They're waiting to put the tire on, looking at the damage here. It looks fine, but like Cal said before, devastating. Just another one of those incidents for Brian Sellers.
Yeah, he just got to focus on laying down a fast lap now to get some sort of grid slot for tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow's grid is set by your fastest lap set in race 1.
And here's a look at the number 16 of Mike Shine. And the reason we're looking at it is because he wins the Optima Batteries Best Start Award, up 3 spots in that opening lap. Big implications, certainly, in terms of that manufacturer battle, but also he's in here remotely with a shot at the GTA Championship, but a huge lead right now by James Sofrono. So Shine doing what he can.
He is, and he's been flying here this weekend. Was up inside the top 5 overall in one of the practice sessions. So Michael Shine really shown what he can do. Been one of those seasons that really hasn't gone his way despite the pace, but this is a man who's on the verge of his 2nd championship, having clinched the Sprint X title in the last round.
Yeah, he's been racing in this championship for over 2 decades and has wins, but never has got a title. And this year he might get 2 of them. Remarkably coming in here, 10 wins on the season, 5 each in Sprint X and Sprint. So just, boy, talk about having it all come together.
And he's multitasking. He has a multi-car operation. He's got a big business that he has to tend to during the week as well. So he's the ultimate Pro-Am driver. Oh, look at that Fogarty there cutting through that chicane. Track limits is still very much a topic of discussion here. Turn 7 and through that chicane are the areas that the stewards are really trying to reinforce that rule on.
And I wonder here with Udell sitting up where he is, if something may have broken, if there was contact or he got into a curb or the like, and that's what speared him off. And so far, they haven't opted to do anything in terms of a caution.
Well, I wonder with the damage to Brian Sellers, they were close together on the grid, so I wonder if Sellers and Udell actually got together right in this area as they broke on the first lap.
On board with Perrin, you can see Long has now been able to ease away just a little bit here. Have a little bit of breathing room. Long running in 4th, Perrin's in 5th.
Pat Long came here last weekend, Wright Motorsports, the very first unofficial test of this year. And that really highlights how important this race weekend was when it came to a club testing event. They just got some of the basics down, ride heights, general setup. Obviously, race weekend is going to be different with a different rubber that's laid down with the IndyCars competing here as well. But even so, just a good starting point. And he said that really puts us in good shape. But you can see Alvaro Brent was really forcing him hard there. Not getting dirty, but certainly letting it know. Listen, mate, this championship isn't over yet, as we now go on board with him.
And just look at the eyes. He knows the mission. He is full on it right now. You know, you come in here 5 points apart in the championship. We saw last year the championship literally changed in the last half lap of the race. Immense pressure, but that's what athletes of this caliber live for, isn't it? You get into a finale like this, this is it.
This is it, and he's really a monster. I mean, he's such a cool guy. I really like him. I love his demeanor. I love what he does behind the wheel, the results he gets. He puts it together in qualifying. He's able to put down that one-lap speed, and he's got great racecraft as well. He races hard, but he's not dirty. He is the complete package.
He is, and right now up front, it is the Cadillac package that is getting the job done. Michael Cooper leads over Daniel Mancinelli, the pole sitter in the Ferrari, and Ryan Dial having a strong weekend in the Mercedes, sits third.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Nissan, innovation that excites. By Case-It, products to work smarter, not harder. Learn more at caseit.com. And by Optima Batteries, the ultimate power source.
All right, folks, great to have you here with us on our global webcast coverage here, as we, as always, are working on our CBS Sports Network coverage. And so that's why we're going to be laying out a little bit and having conversations with producers and working on traffic, as they call it, and the like. But when we have an opportunity to just join you here in the web, we will certainly do so. And after dropping off just a little bit, looks like Mancinelli is starting to turn up the heat. But the best lap right now, Pat Long is the guy who's cracked one off. Yeah, and that's significant, because if he gets that, that's a bonus point, which really has championship implications and gives him a great starting slot for tomorrow. So we talk about surviving, keys to victory, surviving that first lap. He's done that, even though he had immense pressure. We see Johnny O. I'll be amazed if that left front Pirelli can survive the torture it's going through right now as he now hits pit lane. Yeah, I mean, where he runs right now, he's up in the 10th spot. It just isn't worth the risk at this point, I don't think. And might as well get in, get it fixed, and then he can try and put down a good lap and be ready for the race tomorrow. We have to always point that out. It is your fast lap in this first race of the doubleheader that determines where you start in race 2. You've got to get that done. And Pierre Caffer, as we talked about, first time ever at this venue. And once he figured it out, he was quick, qualified 4th. Even though he lost some spots early, and I think some of that was kindness. He lifted to not get into Long, and a couple other guys got around him. He's back on it now. He is. Just got out of rhythm literally on that first lap and lost several positions. And then you get into the classic GT3 downforce problem. When you get close behind, like right here, he's going to pick up a little bit of aero wash, even though he's fighting it hard. And Mike Shine looked like he was really struggling to get through the carousel quickly right in front of him, as the Cadillac boys analyze the damage here on this left front corner. Let's check in with Jeff.
You can see the damage. The fender's hanging off. The headlight is a little bit loose. The front bumper. Remember, this is already a spare car after the shunt in the practice section for Johnny O'Connell in the primary car. They're going to try to get the inner fender liner out, button everything back up. And like we said with Brian Sellers, let's get out there and try to get a lap for the race tomorrow.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a track that even with some of the damaged aerodynamics that car might be suffering, not a huge top speed type of a track in terms of drag. As Long working over Dial now. This is for a 3rd spot at this point. So we're going to pause. We'll be right back with our CBS Sports coverage.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Replay XD. Life's in HD. Replay it. And by Honda Performance Development, Honda's North American racing company.
And welcome back. Michael Cooper continues to set the pace, at least up on the front here of this round of the Pirelli World Challenge Championship, the penultimate round of the season and the Sprint Championship. Daniel Mancinelli is right there. As you can see, he's closing in. But right behind those two, you see a battle that's starting to shape up for that final podium spot. Dial has it, but both Long and Parent are coming after him now.
Yeah, Dial is backing up just a little bit, and this is a car that's been very much on form, coming off a brilliant Sprint X victory in the last round of the championship. But this is going to force Pat Long's hand a little bit. I know he'd love to get to that 25-minute mark, know that he's got points scored today, but if suddenly he sees Parent all over him, he's going to have to force the issue a little bit and try and clear Dial here to take the pressure off. So this is really not an ideal situation for our championship leader, Pat Long, to be in.
And as we went to break, you saw that Pierre Capper had been hounding Mike Shine for that 7th spot. Well, while we were in break, he was able to sneak through and get that spot. But right now, this is just such a hugely compelling championship battle at this point. And for Ryan Dial, after showing great speed in the Mercedes, and particularly at VIR in the Sprint X round earlier in the season, they went through a little bit of a slump period, but boy, did they come back strong at Circuit of the Americas. And that car looks really good here. Yeah, they really did, and they rolled off the truck here with the exact same setup that they had success with at Coda, and it seemed to work, and didn't run new tires initially. Were down the order a little bit, but suddenly when they threw tires at it, he leapt to the top of the charts in the second practice. But right now it's just hard to tell on these longer runs which way the car's going to go, and it just seems like Pat Long has a lot of pace in that car right now, but he's got to be patient. But this is where the experience of a Pat Long kicks in right now, Greg. He'll know exactly how to handle this situation. Now we're getting a report from race control that the start is under review, and they were looking at it for potential action, possibly post-race, as Eversley is in. It's a problem, couldn't really see what the issue may have been there.
Mancinelli continues to clip about 3 to 4 tenths out of that lead buffer to Michael Cooper, but look at this. This is the intensity of the championship right in front of us. Ryan Dial holds down that 3rd position right now, but the 2 cats behind him, they are fighting out for the silverware.
And they are fighting it out on just an amazing track, isn't it? This place is truly special. Hans Stuck many years ago, when somebody asked him what his favorite track in North America was, said it was this place.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It gives you a little bit of everything. It's old school. It's got so much elevation change. The cameras really don't do it justice. What you see up in turn 2 and 3A, you just literally come over there. You got to have the car in the right place. Same thing up into the carousel as well. Just a really cool track.
Yep, it is literally carved into the Sonoma hillside here. And at one point, when you get up into the highest part of the track, up at the exit of what they call 3A, you've climbed almost 170 feet. I mean, this is some significant elevation change. And that long left-hand carousel, that thing's just magic.
Yeah, right here, as you go through Apex there, you can't see the exit. You got to have the car placed perfectly. See Alvaro Parent using a little bit more of the road. Gain some of the time there on Pat Long. Really good exit there out of 3B. Parent is really hounding Pat Long. He's got to look for an opportunity. And I tell you what, Greg, the way the championship is, if Pat Long beats him, the overall championship will be over here today. So if there's even a sliver of an opening, Parent has to go for it.
And he's going to go for it. You know that. We saw Ryan Eversley in the beautiful Acura from real time down in the pits. Jeff, what's up?
Yeah, one of those weird racing incidents here, the broken left rear brake line. And obviously the track here at Sonoma Raceway, kind of you need the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, you've raced here a lot, so you're obviously well known on that. And you can see Eversley is out, so apparently it's not something that they feel they can fix very quickly. So we got some key players here: Eversley, O'Connell, Udell, all either out or struggling early.
Yeah, that's frustration because the NSX has actually shown a lot of pace here this weekend. Looking at the segment times from the first practice, Eversley was very fast, didn't quite put the lap together, but the potential was there. Peter Cox returning, he ran the old style Acura here last year. Oh, look, what's going on there? Pat Long just suddenly slows. Is Long in trouble, or did he just decide to let Alvaro by, feeling the pressure was too intense? Is there something going on that 58 Wright Motorsports machine?
Almost looked like that might be the thing. I mean, I was hearing there was discussion from race control and the pit people about some radio communication from Long regarding getting that tap and the like that we saw earlier from Parent, and maybe he just said, you know, if I finish right behind him, I got this as well here. And with Cooper, in it, but way back in the points opportunity here, maybe that was just a strategic move by Pat. And, he's smart enough to play that game if he thinks it's the right way to go.
Yeah, well, they'll have all the calculations there. So John Wright may be working out. Well, Alvaro's not going to get the maximum points. And if you just finish one position behind him, you've already got the fastest race lap. That's a potential bonus point for tomorrow. Could put you in great shape.
As we ride on board with Pierre Caffer, who continues to try and move up, has now run down the 99 of John Fogerty. There is Mike Shine. He is leading in GTA with points leader Sofronis 2 spots behind him in second, and Pablo Perez-Capang, a great run into third. Well, while we're in break for the CBS Sports Network coverage, back with you here, riding on board the Magnus Racing Audi of Pierre Caffer. And we get a report that the contact for O'Connell was with apparently with the 93 of Peter Cox. Just getting that, so that's being looked at. Haven't heard any further update on the incident, if there was one, with the 17 of Udell and the like. But let's get down and check in with Joe and Fogerty. Little bit of a mistake there, runs wide, and through goes Caffer. That's good for sixth. And as I was about to, let's throw it down to Jeff Lepper.
Walked down here to Wright Motorsports and talked to John Wright and said this was all just a strategy call. They got the numbers out here, the clipboard, and there's a lot of algebra and different numbers and carrying numbers over here to do the math, but that was strictly a strategy call on Pat Long's part.
There's a 2-point swing for that position, so with a 28-point lead over Alvaro coming in, that would cut it down to 26. And that 26 points would be the maximum score. And right now, Alvaro Prent is not close to the fastest race lap so far. He's 4/10 off. That's going to be tough to make that happen in the late going. So I think it's a good move. You know, relieve the pressure. Don't get into a mistake situation, and just let this race unfold.
But I'll tell you, with Long being pressed by Parent, they closed up on Dial. He had to up his game. He's now run right up on the back of Daniel Mancinelli in the battle for second. We're going to pause, come back with our CBS Sports Network coverage. It's Vector Blue under the California blue skies here at Sonoma Raceway. Michael Cooper in the blue #8 Cadillac continues to lead here, has in fact stretched his margin out now to just over 1.7 seconds. But behind him, Daniel Mancinelli, the pole sitter, is starting to feel some pressure, as we talked about Ryan Dial and Alvaro Parent really hounding each other and pushing themselves right up into a potential battle for second.
Yeah, and I tell you what, that decision by Wright Motorsports to let Alvaro Parent buy Pat Long and take the pressure off it, Parent can really make some hay here and get 1 or 2 more positions. Suddenly it changes the complexion going into tomorrow, because suddenly Pat Long would have to finish. He'd have to get points potentially with a Parent victory. You saw last year going right down to the last lap of the last race of the season. Maybe we'll see more drama here tomorrow unfold.
All right, and right there, having a good look at the number 93 real-time accurate Peter Cox, who's had a good run up into the top 10, now sits 9th carrying the iBox suspension cam. And on this track, we talked about the elevation changes, and you got to use those curves. This thing better be working.
It really has. This is an old-school race circuit. It throws everything at you in terms of the bumps and the curves. You need compliancy. And as you can see, the iBox suspension system working really well on the NSX.
He's given it a pretty good ride here today. Of course, up from 12th now into 9th. And they got the first win for the accurate NSX GT3 in Pirelli World Challenge competition a couple races back in the Sprint X category in Utah. And they've been pretty much on form ever since.
They have. They're certainly showing flashes of speed. They don't seem to have quite the consistent pace of maybe the Porsche or the Ferrari. But, yeah, it's been a learning year for everyone with that platform. And if they return next year, I think they're going to be in a lot better shape. Just having the notes to work with, coming back to circuits for the second time makes a big difference versus coming to a new weekend with no real notebook to work from.
This is interesting as we're continuing to focus here on this battle. Dial, Parent in the 3rd and 4th position. I'm watching here. Caffer is now within half a second of Long. he just run him down. And I still believe he dipped the brake to not get into bad and affect a championship opportunity here. But now that we're laps into it, if he gets there, he's coming after him, and so's Perent on Dial. Wow.
Yeah, and let's not forget the sprint championship. There's only 5 points between Pat Long and Alvaro Perent, so he's going to lose a couple if the positions stay as they are right now. If Caffer can get by Long and Perent can make any more positions, suddenly we can be almost in a tie situation with 1 round to go.
At what point does Pat then decide to be a little bit less conservative, perhaps, with what he's doing? I mean, reports are his focus is first and foremost on that overall combined championship.
Well, I'm surprised. If he has pace in the car, I'm surprised that he's fallen back quite as far. I would have thought he'd want to be like half the gap that he's got right now between he and Alvaro, and that would take the pressure off from behind. So, again, if Caffer starts to get a little feisty, what does he do then? You start to lose another position, and yes, you're going to be in great shape, but there's another championship. That sprint championship is super tight, just a handful of points between he and Alvaro as you can see, is on full attack mode right now, trying to find a way by Ryan Dial.
Yeah, he's hunting.
Yes.
No question. Oh, what a great part of the track. That's the exit of 3A.
Look how much road he uses.
Yeah.
He's really committed through there, Greg. He really uses a lot more of the road there, a lot more of the curb, and just exits with a little bit more speed and closes in on the guy in front of him each time he comes through there.
So right in this part of the racetrack, where right about here, Johnny O'Connell said he started to have a little bit of a problem in terms of push, thought he could ride it out, and right down in here is where it snapped and hit that wall over on the left.
Yeah, that was a big one. He said it's one of the biggest incidents he's had since his IndyCar days. So Johnny O'Connell has a lot of experience and along those days. He doesn't crash very often, make many mistakes, but when he says that was a big one, that means it was huge.
Yeah, he said it happens, but he said, I am not happy with myself. He said, I cost these Cadillac boys an awful lot of work, and as you said, doesn't happen often here. Remember, he doubled it up, won it here last year. He said, and I think he won 5 straight races here in the Corvettes in the ALMS days. So this is a very special place. He was an instructor here years ago.
He was, and he had an Indy Lights team that was based right here on the circuit as well. So a lot of history for Johnny O at this race circuit, and I'm sure yet last night he was laying in bed thinking, how did that happen to me today on one of the most important weekends of the year? But his teammates doing it for Cadillac. He's leading right now, getting those maximum point scores, and there's a manufacturer's title on the line as well. So right now Cadillac leads, Porsche back there in the 5th position with Pat Long. There's going to be a big swing tonight as well. That could open things up for tomorrow for a potential switch.
And let's right now take a look at our clean pass of the race of the award, the Motor Trend On Demand clean pass, and it was a beautiful one. Watch this move here by Pierre Caffer coming up on the 99 of John Fogarty.
John gets in there, just gets on the power washers out there, drops a couple of wheels, doesn't get traction, and Pierre just pounces on it.
And that gave Pierre the position he's in now as he comes after Pat Long. That is for 5th at this stage. It's still, however, up front, Michael Cooper leading overall with the 31 Ferrari of Mancinelli and the number 2 Mercedes of Dial, completing your top 3.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Bentley, official luxury vehicle of the Pirelli World Challenge. By BRM. And by Eibach, the world leader in high-performance suspension. The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Audi. Visit AudiUSA.com or schedule a test drive today. And by AFE Power, the official intake system and air filter of the Pirelli World Challenge.
If you're enjoying our coverage today and you're tuning in, obviously you're big fans of this championship, as we are. And if you want to know what's going on in between the races and in the off-season that's coming up, easy way to do it. It's called social media. Go to Pirelli World-Challenge, or World-Challenge.com. You can also get great video content, including links to the live webcast of all the races. You can go, of course, to Facebook. Just search for the Pirelli World Challenge Championship fan page, or on Twitter, look for the handle @WC Racing. And for all things racing, take a moment, check out Motor Trend On Demand. and that also includes the archives of all Pirelli World Challenge races here, and we're seeing a race unfolding right now. Parent down to the inside of Dial, but Dial's got the inside for the next corner, but wow, Parent got that done before they even got into turn 7.
Yeah, just beautiful move that previous half lap. Alvaro Parent was on full attack mode, Greg, there, up through the elevation change, leaping the curves, really putting the pressure on Ryan Dial. He made a little mistake there, washed out wide coming out of the carousel, and Alvaro pounces. But I tell you what, on that last lap, Pat Long has come to life again.
Boy, hasn't he?
I'm not sure if that's a pressure from Caffer, but the trio in front of him have backed up a little bit, as you see Dial now really scrambling for balance there through that chicane.
Well, along with the strategy call of not wanting to deal with the pressure that was behind him, could that have been even a greater strategy call by Pat, saying, I'm pushing these Pirellis a little too hard. I want to have more left at the end of the race?
Well, like we said before, he has so much experience, Greg. He would handle the situation accordingly. John Wright was working the numbers in terms of the championship calculations. Obviously gave him the nod. Just pull aside, let Alvaro go, take the pressure off, then feel the car a little bit, read the car. Get by this 25-minute mark. This could be why he's now on the attack mode. He's got points here today.
Yep.
He's got to that 50% mark. That was one of the keys to victory we mentioned at the start of the show. And now he can attack a little bit more, knowing he will score points even if he had a problem.
Oh, look at this. He's down to the inside now of Dial into turn 4. And that's going to set him up nicely. He is through. So Long now picks that spot up. That was big.
It was, and a lot of respect there by Ryan Dial. He recognized the two guys who just passed him in the thick of a championship battle. Didn't want to fight them too hard and affect their overall season. So nice job by Ryan Dial.
Yeah, and you know that's still pretty fresh in Patrick's mind is the last race of the season last year. And, you know, that little bit of a tap that cost him. He didn't want to have anything to do with that flow, wasn't it?
Caffer big into the ABS there, tightens it up so he doesn't brush Ryan Dial coming off the corner. That should be a drag race, and Caffer wins it.
He came from Napa to make that pass. That was pretty impressive. Wow. But one thing about that Audi, it is a high downforce homologation on that car, which means it can go uber deep on the brakes.
Yeah, and they got a little bit of a balance of performance adjustment, 15 kilograms taken away, so that means it's a little bit lighter. This is the car that's won here. Remember, it won at Lime Rock. Look at this pass here by Pat Long. Just sets it up beautifully. Plows it down to the inside for the brake zone into turn 4.
Yeah, he squared that up, got a great run. And immediately you could see Dial went, well, I'm not going to turn in on him or anything. He's, you know, he's through. He's a championship contender here.
Look at Parent. Wow. He is on the move. He is on the attack. He said he would give it everything. He said, I'm going to try and win both the races here this weekend. His squad, the K-Pax team, are based here locally. They do a little bit of testing here. Not there's a ton of testing done in this class, but they do get some wheel time around this circuit. They'll know it well.
Here's a look at the number 55 Dream Racing Lamborghini. It is the lone GT Cup car this weekend, but they have been contesting the GT Cup class all season long in both Sprint X and in the Sprint Championship. And they have, as a result, are going to win both those titles. Yuki Hirata here driving. He's a former downhill ski racer. Blew out his knees in a huge, huge crash. Had that competitive spirit, need for speed, and said, I'm going to do something here. Decided to try car racing, and is going to win possibly 2 different championships this year. Way wide.
Yeah, I think he was in the ABS, couldn't get it turned in there, went straight a little bit, and kind of Brent was momentarily, at least in no man's land. The door was open, but you know it was going to be closed. Ultimately, makes the wives move and doesn't try and fill it.
But if that slowed him up and caused him to have a little issue coming out of that turn, that's exactly what Long wants to see, obviously.
Look at Perrin.
Wow.
Dancing this car through the chicane. He's got the car on the nose and just floating it. He's got great change of direction is what you need around here.
Well, the man understands the mission, no question of that. Looking to open up the radius in any way he possibly can. Always, he carries a little wider arc through the exit of the turn. And, you know, you wonder if it's pushing or if he's just trying to just carry as much speed as he can.
Well, if you can open up your hands, that allows you to get on the power a little bit sooner, and then you're not going to generate any traction issues coming off the corners. Obviously, these cars have TC, which will kick in, but that's just interrupts the power delivery, which will hurt you on acceleration.
And
Walk him through here, Greg. Floating those curbs is beautiful to watch.
He really is up and on it, but right now, all of this action behind him has allowed Michael Cooper to stretch his lead up to over 3 seconds as we ride on board the Vector Blue Cadillac of our 2-time Pirelli World Challenge champion.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by VP Racing Fuels. Our passion is your performance. And by Dodge. Domestic, not domesticated.
Well, I think I have to correct my throw to break. I said Michael Cooper's a two-time Pirelli World Challenge champion, and he had that in touring car and in GTS, but now with the Sprint X Championship already concluded, and he and Jordan Taylor clinching it at the last round in Circuit of the Americas. He's a three-time champ. And Alvaro Parent, boy, talk about using up the racetrack. He came through turn 11 here, which is one of the great corners in all of North American motorsports, and he got both of those left wheels way off in the dirt.
This is ramping up the intensity here. Everyone digging deep. It's been a long, hard season, and they got it all on the line right now.
Boy, and Pat Long is closing a little bit, isn't he? That margin now down to almost a second, and it was over 2 at one point. There he is. Oh, yeah, it's definitely coming down.
Yeah, I think he's got a fast race car. I think he just really went into a mode there for about 10 minutes, Greg, whereas let's like ease off, let Parent go, get to that 25-minute mark, and there's like he turned on the light switch immediately, had pace, was clawing in those leaders by about 6 to 7 tenths per lap for about 3 laps there, and that's got him back into this battle. Cooper's doing everything he can do. So unfortunately, his teammate Jordan Taylor for that Sprint X Championship got wrapped up in an incident, ironically, with this 31 car as Alvaro getting really close to the tail of that Ferrari coming through turn 7.
As we're just focused, obviously, on this battle at this stage, let's not forget James Sofronis right now sits second in the AM category, 10th overall. Only 2 cars up front is your leader, Mike Shine. But more importantly for Sofronis, Potter and Pappas are 12th and 13th overall, 4th and 5th in the GTA category. And so Sofronis might be on his way to another championship as well in GTA to go along with his Sprint X Championship in Pro-Am. And boy, Parent looking inside, looking outside. He's got the pace. It's just a matter of trying to figure out how to cleanly get by Daniel Mancinelli.
Well, the key is, Greg, if they finish in the order there right now, Pat Long would have a 26-point lead in the overall championship plus the bonus point. So this is crucial for Parent to keep that championship open tomorrow. He's got to make a move on Mancinelli as they come through traffic.
That's that Dream Racing Lamborghini GT Cup entry of Harada, who did his best to get out of the way, understanding the implications of what's unfolding here.
Watch Parent float the speed.
He got a run, didn't he?
Yeah, Mancinelli's going to be feeling the heat big time as Pat Long now clears that traffic as well.
Oh, look at this. Both now Long and Kaffer able to slide through on Harada. So they're going to stay right in this. And certainly been talking about this overall combined championship that is huge. And that's where the manufacturer championship also plays out. But that Sprint X Championship, this is where it's interesting for Pat Long, because as you talked about, that's a lot tighter. And, you know, you don't want to lose too much.
Right to the inside. A little bit of oil dry there. He runs super wide. Long could take advantage here. Who can get the power down coming off of turn 7? It's a drag race between the title contenders.
Oh, and Long not able to slide through. But that margin, that little margin that Parent had to Long is gone.
Just crazy there. Alvaro really went for it. Plowed it down to the inside, was obviously on the ABS. You couldn't see any lockup, but just ran out of road there. And then when you get way off, you got zero grip there, just dust and dirt there on the exit. But managed to keep Pat Long behind it. And I'm sure Pat Long's thinking, just like last year when O'Connell had his little bobble, I don't want any part of this, but he had nowhere to go.
That's exactly right. And as you point out, you know, sometimes you think that ABS, you know, is a panacea. It's not. It's just an aid. And if you get into a turn too hot, you're still not going to be able to make that corner.
That's right. You don't just throw an anchor into the tarmac. You still got to try and resist that speed. So Parent now regrouping, still a lot of... Oh, look at the slide there. Just drifting it through that corner. Parent pushing hard. That was beautiful.
It was beautiful, but you also start to wonder if he's tortured those Pirellis just a little bit in his attack throughout this race. Not that he had much in it as an option. He had to do what he's doing here.
Points are so critical for that overall championship right now. As they sit, both Michael Cooper and Alvaro Parent would be 26 points behind Pat Long. That's the maximum they get tomorrow, but to get that maximum, they've got to get fast lap, and right now, Pat Long owns it.
That was interesting how Pat went out early when the tires were fresh, got the fast lap, then moved over, let Parent go. and just looked after things for a little while. But he really, along with, as you said, John Wright, who's just an amazing strategist on top of the box. Those two minds together, that's scary for everybody else.
Yeah, it really is. And focusing on this GT Sprint Championship, 5-point lead coming in. But Pat Long is now see Mancinelli struggling. Brent's going to get a run on here. Will he try and make a move into the brake zone?
He's looking. Oh!
Gotta go for it. Can he tuck it in? Can he get the grip coming off? Ferrari tightens it up. They're going to be side by side. Brent brushes the wall almost as they come out. Cross the stripe. Pat Long just sitting there.
Mancinelli trying to counter move, can't do it. Now it's up to Long. And just looking at the GT Sprint situation here, he really needs to get by that Ferrari.
He does. Right now it'd be down to a 1-point lead, but then Pat Long could potentially get a bonus point, but it's going to be tight. That would mean it's down to who beats who tomorrow potentially for that Sprint Championship.
Ooh, Perret
struggling.
And Perret dropping tires big time.
Well, he's been floating the curves up and through there every lap, and that created a problem for Mancinelli, just trying to see where he needed to go. You've already got elevation change, and when there's dust in the air, Greg, you're really just going by braille at that stage.
Now, let's see what Pat can do. Trying to square it up a little bit, get a run, do something down into 7. He did. He got a good drive out of the carousel. Mancinelli protecting. Now he comes to the inside.
Gets it in there nicely, keeps it clean. That's the important thing. He can't afford any avoidable contact decisions going the wrong way for him. He's very conscious of that. Established himself, and then just really trying to ease it through the corner without brushing that Ferrari. So once again, Pat Long doing what he's doing. That means the overall championship could still go his way today. He could clinch, but it is tight.
And great credit to Mancinelli, who understood as well and opened the wheel up. And while all of this is going on, Michael Cooper now almost 6 seconds down the road. Here's your top 3. Michael Cooper enjoying all the action behind him. 1, because it's just great racing, but 2, because it's slowing them up and allowing him to build up a sizable margin here. But the interesting thing is at this stage, right now, nobody between Cooper and Perret are long at this stage. So what does Perret have? And Cooper obviously has been pushing a little bit, but you'd think that he may have a little bit more race car because he hasn't been caught in battles like these guys have.
Yeah, that's for sure. You would think he'd be able to manage those tires and just feel them. And that's what a driver's doing, Greg. You just feel in the front end. Don't overload it. You can tell when you're grinding the front. You can tell when you're really leaning into the TC, coming off the corners and really working the rears. When you're in the thick of a battle like Brent, he had no option but to go for it. For Michael Cooper, once he established the lead, once he cleared Mancinelli a little bit, he should have been able to manage his tires.
And I thought you brought up a good point just a little while ago talking about traction control. Obviously, it's a great aid to have, but it does negate acceleration, and if you can drive without it or just get into it, you're way ahead of the game.
Oh, you don't want it too intrusive, Greg. If you're sitting beside the racetrack and you just hear all these electronics kicking in, that means the car's not accelerating with full power coming off the corner. So if the guy can get his hands straight, go to full power, and you don't hear that TC, that means he's getting good acceleration, good bite, good traction off the corner.
And right now, Michael Cooper seems to be getting every one of those nuances. And, of course, he's been teamed with one of the drivers who I think is the absolute best at using traction control to save tires without affecting pace. And Johnny O'Connell, and Cooper said, that's where my schooling's come from. He said, I think I'm pretty good on pace, but it's that kind of racecraft. And look at this now. After all that battling, Long is coming back. Last time by, he had that margin down to under a second. I think that's about a half second right now, Cal.
Yeah, on this long run here, looks like Pat Long has a really well-balanced car. Maybe that test here last weekend, they learned some things for this longer green flag run. Certainly the Capex team gets a lot of seat time here at this race circuit, but not recently. Yeah, you see Perret, he's really using everything. He's going to have to probably just try and hang on here and hold on to this second position. I don't see him closing in on Michael Cooper at this stage of the game.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty focused on that red, white, and black Porsche Consulting, right? Motorsports Porsche right behind him. There goes Cooper, bottom of the screen. And here comes Parent. Long behind him, Kaffer. Great drive. Qualified fourth, fell way back outside of the almost an eighth, I think, and has fought his way back into fourth. Enjoying, I think, running on this circuit.
Well, I think it's good to see here today, Greg. We've seen a lot of desperate driving in the early stages of the year, particularly in the Sprint X format, where we had some new drivers, new faces in the championship. A lot of argy-bargy in the early laps, a lot of carnage, but I think drivers now realizing, okay, like Pierre Capper didn't have the ideal first lap, but just let it settle down. You got a good car underneath you. You do have time to come back, particularly on a racetrack like this. Seems like there's good overtaking opportunities here at this race circuit compared to others.
Here's a good look at Pierre Kaffer. What a great addition to the championship. He's been along with the team. You know, having Magnus racing here in this championship has been great, but having Kaffer come in as the pro along with John Potter in the GTA category, this guy is for real. Wonderful history with Audi. Remember him bursting onto the scene here in the U.S. I think it may have been 2004 possibly, where he won the 12 Hours of Sebring, and you know, maintained a relationship with Audi for a number of years. He's kind of bounced around a little bit, a lot of time with Ferraris recently as well. But he is an absolute pro, and a pleasure, as you said, to have in our championship this year. For those of us getting a chance to wander the paddock and looking, he is one of the most welcoming. Come on in. Yeah, what do you need to know? Kind of a guy, and it appreciated. And the guy wears the most stylish shorts. No one noticed. I'll say. I'm a shorts guy. I like wearing shorts, so, and his are sharp. You're a shirt guy. I get that. Right now, there's a short gap between he and Pat Long. That's what he's focused on. Nice. Yeah, and obviously, you know, he's not in the really in the championship battle, but he's a hired gun, and he's got a job to do, not just for Magnus, but for Audi. And a podium is always better than a fourth, and being able to get up there. So that's his mission. You can see Cooper has gone through in the 77 of Preston Calvert, one of our GTA drivers in the Calvert Dynamics Porsche. Calvert's going to have a cheering squad from the K-Pax team and Alvaro Brent as well, because that changes things if he can make this move on Pat Long. By the way, Shine continues to run 8th overall, leading in the GTA category, with Sofronis in the Global Motorsports Group. Mobile 1 Porsche is sitting 10th, second in AM, but for him, he now has Perez Companc in between himself and Potter, who's second in that championship coming in. That's making things look really good for James Sofronis here. Yeah, no, he's had a brilliant season. Great to see him back kind of on a full-time basis. Kind of went away for a little bit and then just did sporadic races, but you know, he's really come back, you know, in terms of his racecraft and feeling comfortable in the car. He's had some great pros alongside him throughout the course of this year, some Porsche factory guys, and that's nice to see. You can compare data, see where maybe you're leaving a little bit on the table, and he'll admit that. He said, I can't run at the pace of these young guys, but he said, I can learn a lot from them, and he's really been a great mentor to everyone on his race team as well. Runs a bunch of cars, and everything is first class with GMG. Absolutely, and after Alec Udell, of course, started with the Motorsports Development Group, Stuart Robinson's group in GTS, and he got into GT. It was with Global Motorsports Group, and he's been part of the development program for this team. But I think James has been able, they both learned off each other a little bit, and that's a pretty cool thing. And here is a look at James Sofronis. Right now, second in class, but a couple of spots ahead of the two cars that are closest to him in the championship, and that's exactly the scenario that he wanted. Smart drive here, not worried about trying to go for the win and just get the points, clinch the championship. He's got another round to go have fun tomorrow. Yeah, that'll be a nice one. It's nice to take the pressure off and celebrate the end of the season without the stress of knowing, hey, I need my car to finish. I got to do 50%. I got to get this position. It'll be a wonderful end to his year. Absolutely, and a wonderful end right now to this race, perhaps, as we're heading into our final 6 minutes for Michael Cooper. Winless in sprint this year. That was something he wanted to check the box and get that accomplished. Well, he may well be on his way. The margin right about 5 seconds. It's been a beautiful drive. He realized the start was going to be so important, and he made that move immediately. Then had to let his car come in, let the tire temps and pressures come up, and just see what balance he had. The Ferrari's obviously quick here, as it has been all season long, to be honest with you, but he stemmed the tide from Mancinelli and then just drove off. He did. There's a look at your leader in GTA, Michael Shine. If not for a 0-point weekend at Road America, missed one race for a wedding and then had an incident early, he may have been in this championship as well.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Motor Trend On Demand. Visit MotorTrendOnDemand.com. Start your free trial today. And by TireRack.com, revolutionizing tire buying since 1979.
Just an incredibly scenic area here in Sonoma, north of the bay. And Michael Cooper making the most of his daily drive here through the hillside, doing a great job. Perrette still sits second. He right now has about 1.7 seconds on long. And then it's Caffer and Mancinelli completing your top 5. Here is your top 4, and that yellow Ferrari will pop in right back there. Those are the margins 1st to 5th right now, Cal.
Yeah, and looking at how they potentially line up for tomorrow's race, Greg, looking at the fast laps, Pat Long would have the pole with that, the track position and the bonus point, very important there, of course. And Michael Cooper is tied, but I believe he's going to have the other front row starting position, so Cadillac could have a big day. Really get a heap of manufacturer points here this weekend.
All right, now let's take a look at one of the more coveted awards that we have. It's the Cadillac move of the race. It happened earlier, and it had huge points implications here.
Well, when it happened, everyone was wondering, is Pat Long in trouble? Does he have a technical issue? No, that was a strategy call. So the passes don't come much easier than that for Alvaro Perrette, but nonetheless, significance in the championship. Really tightens up our sprint championship for tomorrow's finale.
Yeah, that was the sort of the yin and the yang of that move, wasn't it? It certainly helped him in terms of consolidating perhaps the overall combined championship. But when we get to that race tomorrow, it's an even more intense competition, which we love.
Yeah, we do. But he said coming into this year, the overall championship was his #1 target for he and for Porsche. And then the sprint race tomorrow, that will be the icing on the cake. So I think he was willing to make that compromise, Greg. But I think that'll be nice for us to just really focus on that sprint race tomorrow between these two fierce competitors. It was tight last year. It was 2 points, I think, going into the final race of the year. And it looks like that'll be maybe 4-point lead with a bonus point for Pat Long going into tomorrow's.
Well, you know, in the offseason, Porsche, he's a factory driver, said, where do you want to run? You know, and he said, I got unfinished business in World Challenge. I'd like to go back there. And so that's what he's done. So this, I think, will be just exceptionally sweet if he can hang on for the next 2 minutes and 45 seconds and get the job done. Caffer has eased off just a little bit. I don't know whether he just has decided, you know what, I don't want to get in the middle of and potentially mess up a championship, or at this stage whether Pat, with that little bit, as you said, that 10 minutes where he just kind of eased out of everything, might just have a little bit better set with Pirelli P0s at this time.
Yeah, and looking at some of these fast laps, Brian Sellers, once they got that right front replaced, he actually laid down a 134.3, so I think he could be around row 3 tomorrow, so it'll give him a good starting position to maybe finish off his season on a high note. Be curious to know what happened. I got to believe we're seeing that the stewards are asking for Alec Udell and Brian Sellers to visit the steward's office after the race, so we surmised, we didn't see it, Greg, that maybe those were the two guys who got together that created Alex DNF and Brian having to hit pit lane.
And I haven't heard anything further from race control on that start review that they were looking at and what might be the story there. So we'll have to see how that one plays out. But right now, as we're working around here, I'm guessing that we're going to have a white flag come out for Michael Cooper next time by. Lap unfolding right now in the 135, give or take range. And we're right there now. So this should be coming up to the final lap of this penultimate round of the championship.
Yeah, just a superb drive. Seeing Johnny O'Connell's car, 27 laps on the board, so they obviously try to get more work done to that car. That damage that he incurred, we believe that was with Peter Cox. We saw them close, didn't really see hard contact, but those two guys have been asked to visit the stewards as well to discuss what happened.
Well, and for Johnny, he must be just gutted knowing what Cooper's doing right now and knowing, topping that one practice session, that he could have been in it. I want to quickly jump in. You see that white car up in front of Cooper. A really heartwarming story. That's Mamo Gidley in his first race since that horrific accident in the Rolex 24 at Daytona in 2014. 9 surgeries, 3 years of rehab, that 101 TKO white Porsche. He has made a return to competitive racing after testing in Utah. That's just an amazing comeback story from a really, truly amazing guy. And there's the white flag for Mr. Cooper.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story to see him return to here. Just such a hard racer. Had to really dig deep with that rehab as he now makes way for Michael Cooper to sweep by here. But there'll be better days ahead for Maymil Gidley on the racetrack, I'm sure. He's just whetting his appetite once again. As soon as he was fit enough, he got back in the car, and we saw videos and pictures of him hopping curbs, giving it 1,000,000%. I think Bob Stallings gave him an outing in the Red Dragon once he was fit, so that was really nice of Bob. Obviously, the incident occurred at the Rolex 24-hour race in a Bob Stallings entry in prototype competition, and I know there's a lot of heartfelt feelings around this whole paddock and the racing world in general that Maymil Gidley is back racing. That's the big story, not his position here today, but the fact that he is back on track.
Yeah, he's got work to get that racecraft back, but I'll tell you what, the work he did just to get here, that's the true heroic story for sure. When I saw him at Utah Motorsports Campus when he came bounding up the steps, I couldn't believe it, knowing what he'd been through. It was very emotional for everybody there that weekend. For right now, Michael Cooper, as we talked about, had the win at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in Sprint X with his teammate Jordan Taylor that helped them get a championship. But he did not have a win in sprint. He's going to tick that box here. He has to get through one more corner here at Sonoma Raceway at the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Sonoma. And he turns in. And as I said, now a three-time champion, going to add another win to his CV. Michael Cooper in Cadillac. Win at Sonoma Raceway. Just a phenomenal run outside of the front row. To the front immediately. Led all the way. Perrent second. Long third. And here comes the number 16 of Michael Shine, who will win the GTA race here as he slices through in the 8th spot overall, which is a really, really stellar drive. Qualified 10th and was up as high as 6th at one point. And then just kind of got out of it and didn't get involved in some of these championship battles. But behind him, in 10th, the number 14 at James Safronis. He should be now a double champion this season, and we'll follow up on that. Cooper gets the win, but the bigger story is with Long finishing third, Perrent one spot in front of him, he should be your overall GT champion, and still with a lead in the sprint points going into the final round of the season tomorrow. But right now, big story from Michael Cooper. It's a very special lap. There's Yuki Hirata as he is coming around to take another checkered flag. Just a remarkable season as they have competed in every race here. And for Yuki, I'll tell you, he's been an impressive and quick study here to make the transition. And he is coming up to grab yet another win on the season for Yuki. 9 wins in Sprint X. This is his 4th sprint win. Not a bad season. All right, we're going to pause for just a minute. We'll be back as soon as everybody gets down into pit lane with some post-race interviews, and certainly going to be probably talking to some champions. So stay put with us. Great to have you with us here. Beautiful day in Sonoma. Crash. Well, hello, everybody. As you can see, Michael Cooper has hopped out of his beautiful Vector Blue Cadillac. Jeff Lepper is standing by with our race winner.
Well, smiles here. Obviously a good day for Cadillac. You know, the Sprint Championship, unfortunately, a little too far for you there, but great race win today.
Yeah, an incredible race win today. I mean, I owe it all to these Cadillac guys. They were here until 2 o'clock in the morning last night fixing the 3-car. And, I mean, just to reward them with something like this is so awesome. It makes me so happy.
Tell us about your race, getting that start. Obviously, that was pivotal to the win today.
Yeah, I asked the question in the driver's meeting this weekend, can you go over the start procedure? Because I know guys have been messing with it a little and getting penalties for it. And then Daniel went a little early, and then he had to get out of the gas, and I just kept going because he had gone. And it was like, I'm not just going to let everyone drive away from me. So from there, he put some pressure on me early on, but I was able to conserve tires. And, I mean, the performance traction management in this Cadillac is unreal. The traction control and stability control allow me to keep the tires under it, and that's why we still had the pace all 50 minutes.
Well, Michael Cooper here, a little soulless today, but winning today here at Sonoma.
You could tell there he was frustrated because I was there in that driver's meeting, as were you, Greg, and he said, what is the procedure? Can you go when you get in the acceleration zone? No, you go on the green flag. And Mancinelli obviously went early, and I think he was immediately fired up, and he was determined to take advantage of that first couple of corners and get to the front either way.
Yeah, he pounced, no question about that. And you see congratulations coming from Pat Long and right back at him for Pat Long. Boy, I'll tell you, what a day it is for Cooper as well as Pat Long. Obviously, Jeff Lepper is working his way back to check in and get some more interviews. And we'll see who he's up to and chatting with next. Looks like he's going to head back and talk to one of our GTA competitors, and I think it might just be a guy who just clinched a second championship in one season, Jeff.
A race here. The 16 years or so of you running Pirelli World Challenge Championships, you got the Sprint X Championship, but now officially clinched the Sprint Championship as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew it was close and we played it smart, but that's exciting because there's been a lot of support behind me all these years. Mainly my beautiful wife, Nargis. Unrelenting support, which is definitely what you need when you're racing. And my guys on the team at GMG, from Chris and Ruben and Aki and Joe and Nev and Frank and Mike and all those guys, they deserve as much credit here as anyone, because there certainly is a team effort. I mean, I've been working hard at this. This year was all about making a full-time effort and being committed to running for a championship. And so we made the goal, our championship, and it's happy to get it. But it's great to be here in World Challenge after all these years to finally get a championship, to be here with my wife, and hi to my kids at home, Nargis, Jensen and Chloe, I love you. But this feels good after a lot of racing, so I think I'll take a little break after this. But we have one more to go. I don't want to play it as conservative, so no, I guess I don't have to. So it's been fun.
Over 200 starts now. Two-time Pirelli World Challenge champion, James Safranis.
Yeah, lots of twos here. Over 200 starts, been racing in the series over 2 decades, and now 2 championships in one season. Pretty impressive for Global Motorsports Group. And they also field a couple of cars in the GTS category, and one of them might well be clinching a championship as well. So some pretty impressive stuff. Talk about clinching a championship, and the truly coveted one for the full-time, full-season pro drivers in GT and Pirelli World Challenge. It's the overall combined championship, and our overall combined champion, Jeff, is with you.
Well, overall combined champion, like Greg just said there, Patrick Long clinching that championship. Big strategy play, though, during the race, letting Perrint by.
Yeah, he was wearing out my rear bumper. And after last year, I hate points racing, but there's not a lot of trust with a few of my rivals out there. And in the end, it was the right move. I still had a lot of pressure from behind with Pierre. Had to get by Ryan and Mancinelli. They're tough competitors. But the car was good today. GT3R is the car to have on tracks like this, where it's technical and twisty, short wheelbase, lightweight, agile. Thank you to Wright Motorsports. These guys worked their tail off. We had to wait an extra year, and it feels that much sweeter.
I got to think, though, tomorrow going to be a lot different to your mentality going for that sprint championship as well.
Yeah, sprint championship, team championship, they're all up for grabs. In the end, the final trophy tomorrow night is the overall championship, and that's what we came here to seal up. So it takes the pressure off tomorrow, means we can race hard, maybe use our bumper like some of the others did today.
Well, how about two-time Pirelli World Challenge champion now, Patrick Long?
Yeah, absolutely. What a great story. 2011 when he got his first one, then came so close last year, and now with the opportunity to get a third tomorrow, if things play out correctly. for him anyway, in terms of the Sprint Championship in this unique season where there's a couple of championships to unfold.
Yeah, and I'm looking at these points right now, Greg, on the manufacturer's side, and it's tight, but I believe that with the bonus point for the pole tomorrow, that he may have clinched that manufacturer's title for Porsche a race early as well. So we'll have to determine that tonight, but it's very tight. It's within a point, but I think he's just got it.
All right, so, well, I'll tell you, what a huge day in terms of championships, but another big one to unfold tomorrow. And here's a sad sight. Alec Udell, the young Clemson University mechanical engineering student, something happening on that first lap. Something broke, it looks like, because he didn't hit the barrier that hard.
What's weird is that it's his right front and Seller's right front, so maybe someone else was involved. I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, that's going to wrap up our coverage of the GT series here today, but do keep in mind in just a couple of hours we have the second to the last round of the Pirelli World Challenge GTS Championship that will be unfolding here. 50 minutes of competition. GTS and GTSA will be taking to the track, so please do come back. Join us for our coverage here on a global web stream. We sure appreciate it. For Calvin and for Jeff, I'm Greg Creamer. Hope to be talking to you in just a couple hours.